plenty of food for thought for both sides. Here's Manchester United coach Ruben Amorim.
We proved today that we can win any game in the Premier League, especially against a great team like Arsenal, and we were the better team. So I'm happy with the players.
Frank Leboeuf is with us, arms crossed.
Apart from Arsenal, he should have said, because they can't win against Arsenal.
Yes, this is off the back of Amorim saying that he's proved that they can beat any side.
No, but, well, that's a bit of a ridiculous statement. They've proven absolutely nothing. What they've shown today is what most of us that we've known, that is, they're definitely better in the front line.
100%.
And I know Benjamin Sesko probably wasn't ready to play, and the manager said that, and so it wasn't ideal because Cunha and Mbemo were a threat, and Mount was busy. But there was a couple of times in the first half in particular when they did switch it out to where Calafiore had disappeared from, because he was coming in to play in the midfield, and then Mbemo had pulled out. There was nobody in the box. There was no striker to sort of whip it into because there was no natural front man. But some of the play was very good. You know, Nadim and I were talking about Cunha and the Gyökeres, good player. And Mbemo, good player. You know, Sesko's going to should be a good player for them. And Mason Mount's fit again. That's an alternative who I think, Ruben Amorim, I think, likes him. The problem is, again, and we've talked about it, is when you start going that way.
Yeah.
Was the space that they... Now, Arsenal left a lot of space as well. It wasn't a great performance from them. It was a good 3 points. The space that was popping up in the middle of the park that Arsenal really should have done more with is the real concern for United, as well as the goalkeeping situation, which we'll get to. That being said, it was a lot better from that low bar. It was a lot better if you're a United fan, but there's still a lot of work to do.
That is the absolute point here, isn't it? If you turn it back to the Sir Alex Ferguson day, you lose 1-0 at home, and yet you're playing positives.
Yeah, the standard from before is lower than Snake's Belly. Literally couldn't get any lower because we saw them be so bad at so many times last year. I think they lost 9 games at home in the entire season, which is unlike something we've seen from United. Like we previously talked about 5-6 years worth of games for them to lose 9 games at home. But today they were better. It gave me a sense that they're going to be harder to play against.
Right.
And you add in that forward line. Like I enjoyed Cunha's performance today because in some ways, I know some people don't like him, but he kind of reminded me of a bit of Bruno Fernandes, but with a bit more physicality. There was something that could be created off the cuff. And I think Amorim said before the game that these are players that can do things in moments. And I can definitely see that with Cunha. I think Mbemo did well, relatively speaking. And I think if they do manage to find a way to find the spark with those players, then great. I think they definitely played into those switches of play, as Craig was saying in the game, which were massive. But in reality, like they still ended up losing the game. But there are positives to be had because the standard that was set before was so low. But I think they'll be all right this year.
And I think that's the thing, and as you said, Amorim mentioned it, you've got players who they've brought in who bring you that little bit of excitement, bring that X factor that Manchester United have been missing for so long, Frank.
Yeah, I agree. Something is changing, and I think for the best, hopefully. But yeah, I found the new signing very interesting with Mbemo, especially, where I found him very, very good. Cunha, a little bit less, but interesting. And but some others, they've done well. Yes, the front line is good, but I found De Ligt, for me, exceptional today. I never seen De Ligt at that level last season. And he was good, he tried to help, and we saw the last action even offensively. So something is changing. Yeah, of course, it's far from being perfect. I think Amorim made kind of a stupid statement saying that they can beat everybody. No, it's the first day. I think Arsenal, they weren't ready. They were at their best. But we can see, as the guy said, we can see the improvement. We can see that they're going to be more difficult to beat. But of course, it's not the Manchester United I used to play against, for sure. But it's getting a little bit better.
They've lost today, and he's come out. I mean, some of the statements that are coming out over the last couple of years from managers of Manchester United are sort of mind-boggling. You know, last year at one point, they had only beaten a team that was being relegated from the Premier League. That's how bad they were. They played better today, there's no doubt about that, against an Arsenal side who huffed and puffed and looked like it was the first game of the season. They were, and even Mikel Arteta said afterwards, he said, we need to be a lot better. I mean, some of their passing in the final third was so sloppy. I was talking to Nadim about Saliba. I thought during that first half, somebody needed to give him a little wake-up slap. The ball was bouncing and he was waiting on it. And so Arsenal were kind of there to be potentially got at today. But to come out and say, you know, match day one, when you've lost, we can beat any team, and we've shown it today. I think that's a bit of a stretch. The interesting thing is will they go again in the transfer window? Can they go again in the transfer window with any other players getting them in or out? And they have a massive, massive problem. I think the first place I would go would be the goalkeeping situation. I'm not sure if I would go central midfield or goalkeeper, because both of those positions are a major headache.
A lot of people, of course, question the goalkeeper in that goal. This is what Ruben Amorim had to say in the end about that Arsenal winning goal.
I think you can watch the goal. I think it's allowed to do a lot of things in the corners. We need to do the same. But when you touch that way in the goalkeeper, he needs to use his hands to catch the ball, not to push players. Or he chooses to push players and let the ball pass. But again, it's the rules. If he's allowed, we need to do the same thing.
Frank, talk us through it.
Well, the thing is, at my time, I would have never done that to a goalkeeper. I would have been punched in the face, and the guy with no hesitation, and the guy would have gotten the ball, like that. But that's what it is. I mean, you couldn't touch the goalkeeper. So the goalkeeper was the king of his 18-yard box, and we can feel that this so maybe shy or maybe weak, I don't know. But the goalkeeper, he has to push Saliba in the goal and get the ball. And that's it for me. There is no, it's like, he does almost nothing, Saliba. He just comes close to the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper drops and cannot kick the ball or punch the ball away. That's impossible. I've never seen that at my time. Really, never. You get the Saliba, you push him, you get the ball, and I'm sure the ref won't say anything.
But the only thing with that, Frank, is that was pre-VAR. I think if you grab somebody now and push him out of the way, and the ball's coming in the vicinity, I think VAR will just go to the referee, have a look at that. That's an issue. If you guys have got better memories than me from last year, in the chaotic cup game, I think it was, at Tottenham, when he played.
Vicario, you were thinking that.
Both of them.
Yeah.
I think both of them were very similar.
Yeah.
I'll go back to what I said last year. Did you see when the replay there, when that ball came in, how many players were in the 6-yard box?
Yeah.
Leave some players up the field. Make Arsenal think. Arsenal are this set-piece team at the moment. What is it, 30-odd goals, 31 goals or something?
It's on the WhatsApp group.
It's on the WhatsApp group that the producer has created, and it's just about to get swiped and blocked because he's sending...
Frank's the only one who contributes.
Oh, here he is again, freaking WhatsApp. So they are a threat, whether we like it or not, and whether we like the set-piece coach and all this sort. They're a threat. So you have to think outside the box if you're a team. You can't just keep doing the same thing and getting the same results, which a lot of these teams are. Oh, Saliba, Gabriel, they blocked us. Well, yeah, you know that, so you have to think about doing something else.
Yeah, I totally agree. And in regards to playing against Arsenal, in this game itself, I think Arsenal showed the physical side that they have. And in fairness, United matched it. But when it comes down to those set pieces, the delivery from Declan Rice will always keep you honest. It's always into that area. And as Craig said, there's so many bodies in there. Well, how do you counter that? You either have a goalkeeper that's going to be commanding, or you set people up in a way to whereby they can head the ball. The fact that he's ended up basically on his line or behind his line as he's tried to defend it, well, how's that been the case? Maybe you could leave some players forward and so on, but you do need him to be better, because in that same game, David Raya had the same delivery put on him, and he managed to get a punch on it. So that's what you need your goalkeeper to do if the service is going to be like that.
What's up with Arsenal? Why were they like that? They were. Was it just first day?
Yeah, I think so. I thought they looked a little sloppy, or a lot sloppy, and most of the areas. I think Zubimendi coming in was tidy, but it's definitely a different dynamic in the middle of the park. It's crystal clear. Gyökeres is a different type of player to what they've had in the last couple of years.
What do you mean by that?
Well, he's more of an old-fashioned, up front, pins the centre back. Will try and run the channel now and again, but really wants balls in the box. He's not floating about like a Havertz or a false nine. Not that, as you know, I'm a huge Havertz fan, but that's the kind of player they've had. Somebody that floats around. He's more of a player who, what we used to say, he posts up. He posts up. Now, he posted up today against De Ligt, and as Frank said, he didn't get much change. I felt a bit sorry for him in the sense that Arsenal's passing was pretty poor, and some of the balls up to him, it was coming up to him fast and furious, and De Ligt was really up behind him. And they're both big, strong boys, and he really didn't have much change in those scenarios. The other situation that I noticed a lot, and this is going to be the change for Arsenal, and I think City have had this problem, but they've kind of figured it out when Haaland's playing. over the last 18 months or 2 years, is that when you got a big guy who's making runs in the box, you don't have to be prodding around the box to Martin Odegaard, to Saka, and all this sort of thing. I was watching Gyökeres make some runs, try to make runs off the back of defenders, and they're not putting the ball in.
Right.
But they're not used to that. That's a different part of their game. They're used to go back to the midfield. They're used to go back to Declan Rice. Then they'll switch it to the other side. And if you're a striker, you get so annoyed. You get so annoyed because you get fed up making run after run and the ball doesn't come in. So it wasn't great, but for Arsenal, it's definitely something else that they're going to have to figure out, because he's a different player. He plays a different way. He likes to post up and he wants balls in the box.
Go on, Frank.
Yeah, my concern is, why do you recruit a player like Gyökeres when you know that the rest of the team won't play that way and they won't do what you are expecting them to do, Craig, and cross the ball a little bit quicker without turning around like you're playing handball? You have the player that you need to cross the ball as quick as possible, and if you block it and you make it slow, that guy is useless. So why do you use a type of player like that? Why do you sign a player like that when, in fact, the rest of the team doesn't understand him, or his concern, or his maybe way of thinking the football? I think it's complicated. For me, it's useless. And I really thought, I hope he's going to change and score goals and everything. But I thought Højlund signed for Arsenal and played today against his former teammate. That was the way I saw Gyökeres today. So I really hope that he's not going to have the same path, you know, than Højlund and score many goals for the Gunners. But today he was nowhere near it, because he wasn't in the same level of music that the others are playing. The others, they were playing a kind of a sloppy but slow motion game, where he was trying to get more vertical, one ball, one opportunity, one cross. It never happened.
I'm not comparing Gyökeres to Erling Haaland, because he's got a long way. He scored goals in Portugal, obviously, but Erling Haaland has been there, seen it and done it. But what Haaland really loved in the last year or so was when Kevin De Bruyne was, you know, that ball was going back and he was just whipping it in early.
Yep.
Defenders didn't even get a chance to set, and Haaland was getting off the back, you know, for a great ball in, and that's something I think Arsenal will have to figure out if they've got that player.
Yeah, I totally agree, because for Højlund today, and Højlund, see, Frank's in my head now.
Poor man's
Frank's literally come from my, But the way the Gyökeres was,
Already?
he's come off the pitch after 60 minutes. He's not had a shot, and he spent most of his time just wrestling Delict.
Yep.
Like, that's not what you want to be doing when you're signing to come to the Premier League to be playing for Arsenal. You know, this should have been a game where there's a bit of link-up. You can see the threat that he has. But instead, it's not the case. And I think the point that you made in terms of the timing, and as Frank's saying as well, in terms of understanding him, this will come over time. But you wonder, for the way that Arsenal are, I think the difference with City compared to Arsenal now is that Erling Haaland was always going to start every game. Do we know for sure that, say, Gyökeres will be on the bench when Havertz plays the next week?
No,
because
I think Gyökeres.
No. You think he's going to start every game?
I think you've put all your eggs in that basket.
So what? So you don't think Havertz starts a game then?
No, I don't think so.
I think Havertz will.
I don't. Do you think so?
I think he will. Yeah, I think he will. I think
I
think if Gyökeres doesn't come off, listen, hey, come on, let's slow down here.
Frank's already packed.
It's match day one. The guy's obviously a good player.
Of course.
He had a big fight today with Delict, and some of the deliveries up to him, honestly, it was very difficult to get it under control. So it was a tough day for him, but he wasn't helped by his teammates. But I do think Mikel Arteta absolutely needs this to come off, because the alternative is Havertz, who has proven that he's just okay. So he needs it to work. So he needs to give this guy, even if it's 3 or 4 games and the media are getting on him or the support, whatever. He needs it to work, and they need to find a way. You need to find a way to get the supply line to a guy who's already proven he can score goals. Yeah. It's as pure and simple as that.
And something quite positive about Manchester United, which some would say is a first. Yet there is a negative there, which was shown yet again, Craig, about how poor their decisions have been in the past where it comes to midfielders. Yeah. That we're in a situation once again where you're saying we're nearing the end of the transfer window and they are desperate for new faces to bring in and really shore things up.
It seems they were desperate for Manuel Ugarte.
Yeah.
Desperate for him. He wasn't playing at PSG. And he comes in and he is... he's at the very best at this level, he's tidy. at the very best. And Julian Laurent's our colleague, his quote, not mine, he said he struggles to pass the ball, which isn't a good forte to have for a midfielder. And you saw if anybody saw the shot he had when he came on.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal, that was
from
it.
30 yards. It's telling me that he scooped it over the bar, and that's telling me as a guy, that's telling me the way that he struck that, because anybody can strike the ball over the bar, of course he can. But it was the way he passes the ball and the way he hit that ball tells me he's not a very good striker of the ball. So he's not pinging it around. Like Casemiro can still ping it around. Just can't run anymore. Right. So yeah, it's I think that list, but we knew that anyway.
Yes.
We knew that anyway. Their signings have been poor. The recent signings, though, I have to say, do look somewhat better.